foundation of artificial intelligence and the foundation of quantum computing is blockchain. If you haven't started there, you won't be able to control AI and you will be able to control quantum computing. Therefore, those two technologies are incredibly fast and they're incredibly like effective in terms of changes, as you say. But if the blockchain is the foundation of it and the smart contract is what's controlling those applications, then we will be able to progress slowly, even though the technology is advancing, but the release of that will be gradually.
Today, we're going to be diving into the fascinating world of blockchain technology. While many associate blockchain with the rise of Bitcoin, the origins and also the applications of blockchain extend far beyond cryptocurrency. From revolutionizing trade and banking to transforming governance, healthcare, law, and even constitutional processes, blockchain's impact spans across many sectors and provides us with promise for a brighter future. Joining us today, I'm excited to say that we have a very special guest. Habibi Abdelfatah Mouttaqui joins us from the beautiful land of Morocco. With over 6 years' experience in the blockchain technology across different roles, Abdelfatah brings a wealth of knowledge to our conversation. Make sure you stay tuned till the end, guys, because we're also going to take this opportunity to learn a bit more about Moroccan culture, history, and some of the spiritual tourism projects Abdelfatah is passionately involved in. As a descendant of the Sufi sage Sidi Abdul Salam al-Mashish, Abdelfatah's insights reflect a deep wisdom and tranquility derived from his Islamic heritage and background. So, Sidi, Brother Abdelfatah, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our podcast. It's an honor to have you with us.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Sidi Tafhim.
Jazakallah. So, brother, I know you have like a extremely hectic schedule, and we'll go into that a little bit today. But I wanted to say I'm truly grateful that you accommodated us despite the short notice. So it's an honor to have you here with us.
The honor is mine, Sidi, and alhamdulillah, there's always time for people that want to progress and want to, alhamdulillah.
So for our listeners, tell us, where are you based right now? Where are you speaking from?
Well, I am based in Casablanca, Morocco at the moment.
Wow, amazing. Okay.
Yes.
And that's where you live, yes?
That's where I live now. Currently, this is where I live. Yes, correct.
Good. Okay. And basically, I know you have a very diverse background and a range of interests, a little bit like myself. So there's lots of things to discuss. But for this discussion today, what we're going to do is talk to you about your background with the blockchain technology, discuss a little bit about Morocco and life there and your activities in the different kind of fields in Morocco, what you kind of how you occupy your time. But before we get into that, kindly could you let us know a bit about your background? How did you actually first get interested in the blockchain technology?
Well, the blockchain technology started when I first worked in the cybersecurity field for a period of time, and then that was where the blockchain started. And we're looking at 2017, 2018 when the courses and the curriculums for this field started coming out. And then I saw one program which was issued by the Oxford University, and and that's where the whole thing started.
Excellent. So the courses that you mentioned, the courses started coming out relating to blockchain technology. Where were those? Were they in Morocco or were they like abroad?
No, the one that I've gone through, the first one is with Oxford University, Said Business School.
Business Center. Yeah.
and that was the first one that they done. And I was the only African guy in the group, and that was done in 2018. Since then, I got involved in conferences and I wrote my ebook, which I have sent to you. It's called The Simplified Blockchain. It's mainly for non technical minds and non technical people that would like to know more about blockchain.
That's amazing. So yeah, the book. Sorry, I haven't had a look. I will definitely download that. I didn't realize you sent it. Thank you for that. How is that something? Is it like a paid book normally? Who is it for? How do you distribute it normally?
Well, it mainly was for people that I interact with. It's not a paid book. It's something that I give as a gift to whoever wants to know about blockchain. There's nothing attached to it. I didn't produce it to make money of it, and mainly for
Sure.
educational purposes. And that's basically
Excellent.
my way of sharing what I have learned, and that's basically what happened. Mainly shared with people that really showed interest and want to know about blockchain and how to interact with blockchain. And then before we start discussion, I share that with them and I give them some time.
Yeah, so they have a
Yes,
bit of context. That's really useful to know. The reason I was asking is because with the podcast notes that we upload on the internet, we can put your contact details, and obviously, people can contact you. And they can access the book if that would be beneficial to them as well. For our listeners, and even for a dummy like me, could you explain in simple terms what is blockchain?
well, blockchain is normally it is simple. It is a simple. If it's not simple, then it's not blocks. Blockchain is simple thing. It's been with us since day one of humanity, which is bookkeeping.
So, blockchain is like a ledger of any transaction that may be going on between two or more people, which, as you say, has been around since humans started doing trade. Um, but the beauty of the blockchain is that obviously, first of all, is as I understand it, that it's live. So it's constantly being updated and also it's decentralized. Is that right?
That's basically what blockchain is, and it's credible. And it's we can connect with people in China, we can connect with people in America, in wherever. But that connection is reliable, it's not corrupt, and it's efficient, and time is basically. That's basically what core blockchain is. Makes it reliable because it's not in the hand of one entity, and that entity has the ability to change the information. Where when it's decentralized, there's no way that you can change because the same copy is on a different platform. What we call nodes. It's like different nodes.
So we're talking about the blockchain technology being decentralized. And actually, that leads me up to so blockchain. Is blockchain a single entity? Is it a technology? What is it? When people talk about blockchain, what are they actually talking about?
It is a technology that has two sides of it. It could be permission, permissioned, and it could be open. Whatever the entity or the person or the institution or the company or government decide to do what I want with permission, and there are conditions that if there is permission into it, and there's an open one where everybody and anyone can go and participate in there. Therefore, this is where the decision has to be made depends on the use case.
Oh, I see. So does that also mean then that not every blockchain is going to be decentralized because it depends on, so for example, if a bank is using blockchain technology, they might not want everyone to see from a privacy point of view where the who's paying who and what payment went where. Is that right?
Well, it could be decentralized within the network. Now, decentralized doesn't mean that it cannot be shared. It can be shared within the network. Or you say, okay, this is the network that's able to be shared, decentralized within the network, or decentralized in general form, which is anyone and anybody and everywhere it can be accessible. Therefore, this is the two things that people need to understand. Decentralized doesn't mean it's always open. It can be decentralized within a community, within an ecosystem, or decentralized where you add out of the ecosystem. Therefore, other application can be part of it where you add the nodes and then because decentralized with a smart contract. I don't know if you heard about the smart contract that allow the law and gives the governs the law of the network of
Yes.
how it should be managed, governed, the network in general, because they're allowed. Some people are allowed to write. Some people are allowed to read. Some people are allowed to write and read. Some people, therefore, there's always that management within the laws. That's why it's so interesting and so um, fabulous where the law it's within the ecosystem. It's not you're not giving the law to humans to decide when and how. It's within the agreed laws of the ecosystem. Okay, do we want these people to have access? Do we want everybody to have access? Do we have to limit the access? Do we want to only give read or write or whatever? Each entity will have a node, and that node has a specific function to play within the ecosystem.
That makes sense. So the risk of human interference, human error is also eliminated because everything is controlled completely by the protocol.
That's correct.
Also, so for me, the first time I heard about blockchain technology, and I think it might be the case for many of our listeners, was when first people started talking about crypto and bitcoins and things like that. But blockchain has been around
Sorry,
before
can't hear you.
Bitcoin,
I
yes?
didn't hear what you said.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying. So personally, the first time I ever heard about the blockchain, and this might be the case for many of our listeners as well, is we heard about the blockchain when we first heard about Bitcoin, and that's how we knew that there's something called the blockchain,
Yeah.
which is the underlying technology for Bitcoins.
Yeah.
But blockchain has been around since like before Bitcoin, yes?
That's correct. It's
Yeah.
from the 80s already, where the first
Oh wow, I did
blockchain,
not know that.
yeah, the first blockchain ecosystem has been created. It just wasn't ready to be fully, what they call proved. It took quite a time for it to be solid. And yes, you know that the banks used it first within transacting within each other on the international level, but also it was centralized. They chose to have a centralized function within each company, within each bank. Therefore, it only came, as you said, to be known when the Bitcoin came out. And even though with the Bitcoin, it's just a use case, it's not really the
Yes.
blockchain technology, it's just one drop in the ocean.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So was Bitcoin the first decentralized app for blockchain?
Well, the first approved decentralized app. It's the first that made
Interesting.
it to the surface. Um,
Interesting.
but there are others that never made it because they couldn't really find a way to get it out. To be able
Mm.
to scale it. But Bitcoin, because it came in the right time, it came in the right hand. Therefore, it came out and it did what it did, but it's not the use case that the humanity required now. So it's not that.
Hmm. Interesting. And decentralized apps, um, how do they actually use blockchain? Um, do you have like, can you provide us with some maybe some real life examples of how it's being used around the world currently in different use cases?
Well, decentralized apps, you have seen what I mean, the greatest example is UAE. I mean, UAE has managed to create a use case for passports control, for taxes, and for certain elements of social interaction. Therefore, that's basically where blockchain will benefit humanity, and when it's used to give a better service, an efficient service, and a non-corrupt mechanism within the administration. Therefore, what UAE has done is basically created the ID use case, and whoever basically applies for visas and so the information is in a network, and it's easily shared between the concerned parties, which is first the banks, and secondly the authorities, the tax, the police, the hotels, anything to do with tourism and tourists within the country or the region. Therefore, that's basically makes it easy for the information to be accessible without deleting it or adding um, any unnecessary information or incorrect information. That's working now in the UAE as we speak.
Well, that's really interesting. I did not even hear about that. So is that fully functional now?
Very fully functional, and believe me, UAE is the first country in the world to fully utilize blockchain and efficiently utilize blockchain properly.
That is impressive. Do you know when that was put into practice, like
It's
rolled out?
just before the COVID started. If you go back to how heavy were the conferences of certain networks, especially the Ethereum was so busy there, the Binance is so busy there. I mean, the Binance has made a contract with the UAE, and they have entered that market. Not necessarily Bitcoin because it's quite a wild west approach. It's not
Hmm.
sustainable, and that's why the UAE won't take it to close home, but they will allow people to utilize it um, for the exchange purposes. Therefore, the authority will legalize the exchange companies and give laws, certain laws that they need to follow, but not necessarily the Bitcoin as a use case because there is no entity attached to
That
it.
makes sense. I know there's like a kind of a debate amongst users whether there should be um, kind of some um, control by governments and some kind of check and balance. On one hand, people want like freedom and independence and complete decentralization, but on the other hand, you need to have some kind of security and some kind of legitimacy so that these things
I
can
mean,
be
the
used
intentions are
wider.
good. The intentions are good, but the world cannot be just run by
Mm.
intentions. I mean, you want freedom, but what does freedom mean for you? It doesn't mean freedom doesn't. It's not the same concept for this person and that person. Some people have wanted wild freedom. I mean, they want to do everything and anything. Well, the real
Yeah,
freedom is that you are able to transact and has a fair transactions and fair, livelihood where you're not wronging anyone and nobody's wronging you. That's the freedom I know.
mm.
Therefore, it's important that yes, finance. You don't want government to check on you, but what? there's a potential of within your network, if you haven't done a good check of due diligence, that somebody would use that freedom in the wrong way. And we have seen it hundreds of times. History has told us. I mean, within the same group that called for freedom, there are certain people that use and abuse that freedom and do other wrong things with it. And hence, it's important that the government put hands on certain elements of exchanges and funding, and so that we don't end up funding the wrong. Our intention is to fund certain charities, but we don't want to be ending funding somebody that's going to create
Mm,
tension in certain areas. That's why it's important we know how the funds are, and the governments are doing a good job in terms of creating policies in this regards, and they're calling for a digital currency rather than a cryptocurrency.
yeah, and it's a similar kind of debate people have been having about freedom generally on the internet. How free should it be, and how can we protect vulnerable people,
Yeah,
children,
yeah,
um, and it just keeps going back and forth. And now we have like the cancel culture, and so yeah, it's interesting.
yeah.
Before we go any further, let me just take a moment to introduce our sponsors for today. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by the Worldwide Listings Company Limited, or WLC for short. WLC is a leading e-commerce management agency helping businesses succeed online. So whether it's looking for new products, supplier sourcing, account creation, creating listings, keyword research, image editing, video creation, or managing your PPC campaigns and advertising, WLC can provide a complete A to Z package that is tailored around your specific needs. So whether you're new at the e-commerce game or an established business wanting to take your sales to the next level, get in touch. WLC is here to help and support you every step of the way. Now, for transparency, let me also explain my own relationship with WLC. I'm actually the founder and the managing director of this fantastic company. So that means that I'm actually placed in a unique position where I can offer you a brilliant deal today. So if you are interested in e-commerce and you feel that you may benefit from some help in managing your account, then get in touch and we can offer you 1 month management with zero fees. So you'll be getting 30 days of expert work for absolutely no cost to you at all. Simply, when you speak with someone, just quote Kianistan and I will personally make sure that you're well looked after. The number to dial is 0044 203 818 5666. Again, that's 0044 203 818 5666. You can also reach us at that number using WhatsApp, or you can reach us at www.worldwidelistings.co.uk. That's all one word, www.worldwidelistings.co.uk. Thank you, and let's get back to the podcast.
How is like what are some of the interesting projects that you're seeing being developed in Africa, for example, to help with banking or trade? Um, is there anything that we should look out for?
Well, there are projects that's going, as pilots. It's not necessarily solid yet. It's all use cases being trialed, and I mean, you can't really say anything they're good or bad until a time pass by, because it's a proof of concept that we're
Yeah.
looking for. Therefore, if there is no proof of concept, especially in technology, you can't really say this use case is good or bad or even mention it. Therefore, they are what I would say, there is a solid call within the central banks in Africa that they digitalize the the currency, and they digitalize the method of transacting and trading, and that's a good start, because that way the policy has to come solid, and it has to work for the general public rather than a few elite, and that way is important that the education must spread out on good education within the blockchain technology, and this should be taught within a primary school and schools in to just to understand how the technology would affect and
Definitely.
benefit their future, because it's important to understand that digitalization, it's a relief for the government, because then that bureaucracy is not something that holding people from transacting and doing trade locally and internationally.
Very true. I think part of the problem is, yes, definitely we should be teaching these things to our kids in schools. But currently, there's like a big vacuum of information, even all the way up to decision makers in many countries. Ministers don't understand the implication of these technologies or how they can be used to benefit society. Um, do you know if or where this technology is being used for um, financing banking? Is it sitting within the SWIFT system, or is it like a parallel system to what we have currently in terms of like the SWIFT payment system?
Well, mainly, I mean, the SWIFT system is definitely the backbone, because of the agreement that
Mhm.
countries have made. Because this is not a movement. SWIFT is not a movement. SWIFT has been organizing, transactions worldwide. Therefore, it has to be something similar or has the same laws, that it can be worked. That's why it's taking too long. It's too long for the implementation of blockchain. It's such an easy thing, but it's complicated, because now it's the technical that's calling for change, but the non-technical, they're not understanding
Yeah.
fully that they could implement it by themselves. Therefore, until a IT person becomes an executive, until a person of technology become executive and part of the board, the things will go smoothly. But because IT is always seems to be a service, but not
Mm.
I mean, it's not a necessary element. It's actually the first necessary element in this age is IT. Otherwise, you won't be able to expand beyond your borders. I mean, you could market your product, but it's only people that you know, your family and your friend would know about it, until you are able to spread it more, where you use technology and spread that um, use case. Therefore, yes, I would say, it's about time that when COO take on the space within the board and be able to make decisions, that it will happen, unless we have to really show a great benefit into the non technical, that they are gonna make the right decisions, because they've been controlling the financials. They've been controlling the fields of trade for many years, and it's to change that. It takes time. It takes a lot of education and a lot of training.
Absolutely right. And I think there's so much technology coming out now
Yeah,
that has such rapid impact on society
yeah,
that there's not really that benefit of time to understand what's going on,
Yes.
and then to make policies accordingly. I mean, if you even think about artificial
Yeah.
intelligence or quantum mechanics, quantum computing, I
Well,
mean, I'm sorry.
I haven't spoke to you about that yet. We just in the foundation, and the foundation of
Yeah,
artificial intelligence and the foundation of quantum computing is blockchain. If we haven't started there, you won't be able to control AI, and you won't be able to control quantum computing. Therefore, those two technologies are incredibly fast, and they're incredibly like effective in terms of changes, as you say. But if the blockchain is the foundation of it, and the smart contract is what's controlling those applications, then we will be able to progress slowly, even though the technology is advancing, but the release of that will be gradually.
yeah. I think that's why I would love to have you back. So maybe we can have another session where we go into more depth and discuss how bring in AI, bring in quantum computing, and go a bit more in depth, because this is really interesting, and it's going to impact all of our lives,
Yeah.
and very, very soon. Uh, um, just going back to the banking and blockchain, one of the reasons I was asking whether this is a technology that's currently being used within the SWIFT system or parallel to the SWIFT system is just because I'm also considering what's going on currently in geopolitics and, for example, the BRICS bloc, which is trying to get away from this regime where countries can be put into sanctions um, so completely and so quickly. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. But I can imagine it'll be some solution based on some blockchain technology, no?
Well, the blockchain technology is what you're gonna use for it. I mean, it's whatever you're gonna use it for. Therefore, it can play two sides. It can be a means of control, and it can be a means of freedom. It's what you're gonna use it for. Therefore, geopolitics, that's something that we have no say on, we have no control over it by our opinion or our what do you call it, an analogy. But what's going to happen is going to happen. It's up to the individuals that make a decision, and they were both voted to make those decisions. Therefore, it's gonna carry on this way until we are able to find a peace within nations, and we don't have to. I mean, there is no nation above other nation except by good character. Therefore, our standards must has to be the standards of good character, and that's how you evaluate a nation, or evaluate a country, or evaluate an area.
True. One of the things I'm just thinking about, as you were mentioning the different use cases for blockchain, is, for example, because I'm here living in the UK, and I'm thinking things like, because we're constantly having problems with medical records, either they're inaccessible or they get lost too easily. It's hard to control them, but it's also hard to get them to the places where they need to be when they need to be. Um, Personally, I know when I go to, we have like our GPs, which is like the general practitioners, and then if we ever go to the hospital, then the notes that are taken for our medical notes in the hospital can take days to get to our GP, who's like our main point of contact. So something like blockchain technology is probably needed essentially in these areas, even also in like the voting system. Um, so there's a lot of places where it could be used, but then I think it's a matter of understanding the technology and also having the foresight to be able to put that kind of capital investment behind the change that needs to be driven by these things.
Well, I mean, it's in terms of the record. I don't know if you have checked. I am part of the Patientry Association, which is one of the first use case that was launched to do exactly what you said about the records keeping and facilitating the information, the correct information, efficiently going through to your GP, to the ambulance, to the hospital, to
Hmm.
and that's Patientry Association. That's exactly what's doing in the UAE, Middle East, and America, and part of Europe. And yes, and also not just that is part of it is that they have a coin that facilitates even the payment of, you come to a level where you use those coins to buy, for the poor people in a charity way. They are able to buy medication if they don't have money, because then they have points, they have the coin that they can use with the pharmacies that are part of the note. If all those things are happening, those things are, and it's all about the ecosystem. Therefore, what we need to learn when it comes to technology, okay, out of technology was something called as party. The party, I belong to this party, and this is the echo of this party, this is the policy of this party. But now,
Hmm.
because we're in a technology era, we have to look at the ecosystems, the different ecosystems. Some ecosystems talk about health, some ecosystems talks about education, some other ecosystems talk about politics. Because that's one thing that a lot of people didn't speak about is the decentralized politics, which also going to take place, because if you don't have the decentralized politics, you won't have any decentralized finance or even decentralized education or any decentralized in this thing. Therefore, it's going to have to start on a decentralized politics, and that's what the politicians are afraid of.
Absolutely right. And I really look forward to that time, but also I'm really interested in that topic. And maybe that's another thing that we could talk about. I've been reading a bit about how um, democracy, how it's being used in how people can have more of a say in daily day-to-day issues and how things work, for example, in Switzerland, and whether countries can use that as a model. But this goes kind of even beyond that, and it kind of, yeah, decentralized is a completely different level. And I think we're going to get into that era whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
Um, it's just a transition. It's going to be interesting. If we before we go into other topics, if you can think like 5 years ahead, apart from the things that you just mentioned, what would you say would be the biggest areas that would get impacted by blockchain? I don't know. Personally, I'm thinking things like law, contract law.
Well, the
Um,
first area should be impacted. It's not, it's going to be impacted. It's only when we want it to be impacted. Like humans are by and large, they are in control and they have discrimination. Therefore, it's what humans want, and that's why it's either the technology either slower or faster. But the real impact is first going to be on the law, as you said, because that is the foundation of the technology. Because without having the smart contracts, being able to be accurate and to be suitable for the industry that we're gonna change, could be any industry. Therefore, the lawyers and the law and the constitution, basically we start from the constitutions. We're digitalizing the constitution. Once you digitalize the constitution, then you are able to check the constitution and have everybody vote yes, no, maybe. And that will be able to actually give us an accurate way forward of how the law should be. And yes, we use the AI in that regard. And we use quantum computing in that regard to manage the impact of that decision on the constitutional level. Therefore, it's not even the laws, it's on the constitutional level, it's where everything started, and it's going to be everybody would know his right, and everybody will track his right and track the others if they're following the same right. Therefore, the constitution must be digitalized before any other law can be digitalized.
That's very interesting. I haven't actually thought about that. But yeah, I can see a time when we will have a society without lawyers. We're going to be closer to Jannat at that time, I think.
Well, not necessarily the Jannah is in your heart, really. It's you understand. It's all you, because the world as we see, we can either say Alhamdulillah and we accept, or
Yeah,
we make changes, but we cannot make changes if we haven't changed ourselves. Therefore,
yeah.
you can radiate change but not speak change. It's impossible to speak change because it's a
Mm.
lot of voices. But once you radiate change, like the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did, it's easy implemented. It's actionable. It's there. It's practical. It's not in the air.
Before we go any further, let me just take a moment to introduce our sponsors for today. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by the Worldwide Listings Company Limited, or WLC for short. WLC is a leading e-commerce management agency helping businesses succeed online. So whether it's looking for new products, supplier sourcing, account creation, creating listings, keyword research, image editing, video creation, or managing your PPC campaigns and advertising, WLC can provide a complete A to Z package that is tailored around your specific needs. So whether you're new at the e-commerce game or an established business wanting to take your sales to the next level, get in touch. WLC is here to help and support you every step of the way. Now, for transparency, let me also explain my own relationship with WLC. I'm actually the founder and the managing director of this fantastic company. So that means that I'm actually placed in a unique position where I can offer you a brilliant deal today. So if you are interested in e-commerce and you feel that you may benefit from some help in managing your account, then get in touch and we can offer you 1 month management with zero fees. So you'll be getting 30 days of expert work for absolutely no cost to you at all. Simply, when you speak with someone, just quote Kianistan and I will personally make sure that you're well looked after. The number to dial is 0044 203 818 5666. Again, that's 0044 203 818 5666. You can also reach us at that number using WhatsApp, or you can reach us at www.worldwidelistings.co.uk. That's all one word, www.worldwidelistings.co.uk. Thank you, and let's get back to the podcast.
See, I can sense the underlying tasawwuf behind your love for technology, and I think that's really really important. And it's nice to see that spirituality shouldn't be like a cut off silo, but it should be something that impacts all of our lives. So it's really nice to hear you talking about these things in somewhat of like a spiritual point of view.
Well, we are made of not just intellect. Intellect feeds from our spirit. Definitely. It's no separation between spiritual and non-spiritual, because it's not something we decide on. We have a spirit, aren't we? Do we?
Yeah,
We have a spirit, we have a body, and we have an intellect, and we have a heart. It's about aligning those to serve humanity, and not be just consumed by you, because once you're consumed by you are unable to think others. And that's where the challenge is in this time, because greed what made people steal the water. and sell it. The greed that what make people go into the mines and let the children work in it. The greed is what made the prices of things go up. It's not normal human being or human nature that you want to benefit and profit for every piece that's not yours. It's given by Allah. It's Allah's right, but Allah made us responsible. We have to look after it, but is not that we destroy, you know, people and destroy nations and destroy places for the sake of filling up the coffins of the banks. And that's basically where the problem is greed and the thinking of separating between the spirit and the intellectual, the heart. Is just how education played role for the last few years to get us to where we are at the moment.
Absolutely. That's why currently it's actually quite sad to see the distribution of wealth in all countries wherever you go. How the difference between the 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 people on the top and basically the rest of the people, and it's it's absolutely fine. It's natural to earn an income, to have wealth, but the disconnect between people, I think, is what's quite alarming in all countries that we're seeing at the moment, whether it's in the West or Asia or developing countries or developed countries. Um, there's countries within countries now.
Yeah. But
Can you tell me a little bit?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Can you tell me a little bit about some interesting projects that you may be involved in or may not be involved in, but would be aware of in terms of blockchain in Morocco?
Well, Morocco, as you know, just arrived mid Ramadan. I'm basically assessing, looking into different areas of interest. But as we see, the government or the Ministry of Digital Transformation is a she's a minister, and she's doing a great job. Therefore, at the moment, there is definitely first step is to align the other administration to think digital. Then the work will start. Therefore, the first step is alignment, that the ecosystem is being created through the whole administration. And that's what I see. That's what I see that the King Muhammad VI, may Allah bless him, has gave his instruction to digitalize the administration, that the corruption is no more there, and that's the reason why he wants to do so. And the minister, Rita, Dr. Rita, she's doing a great job. I mean, there is nothing for me to be done from my side, or even advise which ecosystem, which work on the blockchain is yet, because she's doing the foundation of it, which is creating an ecosystem. Before you do any use case on the blockchain, this is basically the strategy, as you would read in the simplified blockchain that I sent to you, if I remember. I don't know if you have the copy, but in there it mentions the need of creating the ecosystem before creating the use case, because the ecosystem is what maintains the use case. Therefore, everybody creates a use case, then they want to create the ecosystem. It will never work.
It's very true.
Yeah.
This reminds me. So I used to work in the National Archives in the UK.
Yeah.
As a civil servant, and I was working in the digitization department, the digital department.
Yeah.
So initially, I worked there, I think, for about 10 years or more. And yeah, so we had a department with lots of resources and everything. But then it was interesting that by the time I was leaving, we got to the stage where the CEO decided that we don't need a digitization department or digital department anymore because this needs to be something now that's embedded in every single department.
Yeah,
So we don't really need to have a separate department
exactly.
that's telling us about
Exactly.
digitization. So that's where we need to get to.
Exactly. I mean, you're talking about digitalization, just somebody that don't even know how to change his password. How do you do that?
Yeah,
Now
absolutely.
you're doing wrong because we talk, the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, speak to the people according to the level of the intellect. Therefore, for you to speak digitalization, you have to bring them into that arena. You have to
Yeah,
educate them in that arena, not force them on an application level yet, but just speak to them about it and let's see how far they can go and what function they can play because each one is going to have a function within the blockchain. It's not a loss of it's not really 100% digitalization because the humans are needed still for nodes, for certain application, for approvals, for change of policies, for it's a lot for mechanical, for robots, for sensors, for a lot of things because it's just a change of application, not necessarily writing, on a book every day, but approving certain things every day on the internet. So therefore, it's not a loss of jobs. It's just a change of jobs. It's going to be another application to your job rather than the same job that you had before. Even the lawyers will have nodes. They will have an application to play. They have something to play within the network. It's not they're
yeah.
going to lose their job. It's just not going to, earn so much exorbitant money from one client. But if they have 100,000 clients, they will earn more. Therefore, that's dynamic where it's not you're going to lose jobs or you're going to lose income, but it's going to change everything in dynamic in the way you approach that field of your expertise or whatever. It can be transportation, can be tax, can be law, can be education. All of that's going to be changed, but to the good. And only those ones that want change will succeed. The ones that don't want change, I mean, there's always a sport to play.
Interesting. This reminds me, I've been having these discussions with friends and family about how change is it going to benefit us as a society or is it going to be taking over and making us redundant so yeah, I do confess that I think I kind of tend to be on the gloomy side of things, simply because I think that the changes that are coming are going to be so rapid and so
Yeah, very far.
broad that it's going to be for the majority of the people, it's going to be very, very difficult to retrain and re-educate into a completely different. And because the change is going to be constant,
Yeah.
it's going to make a lot of people put them in a very unfamiliar kind of a situation. So
Well, it has
it'll
to
be
be done
interesting to see.
gradually. That's where, the smart countries are doing it gradually. Therefore, when you do it, as a shock, like as a rapid, like in the moment, okay, tomorrow maybe the central bank decide, okay, we are moving to digital currency. No, that's going to destroy the whole country.
It will.
That's going
That
to
will be the end
destroy
of
the
high
whole
street
country.
banking. Yeah,
Therefore, strategic. Why I said, the course really that I did, it's called blockchain strategy. And the blockchain strategy program that came, by Oxford, Oxford has offered that, is how you gradually go and implement those changes seamlessly. People won't have to feel it. It's just gradual change where it's a drop by drop until we are able to say, okay, we have arrived to what they call the journey, because it becomes a journey, and you explain the journey, and then you break it into stops, because you can't really keep going all the way, because people get tired, confused, and all of that. Therefore, it's strategically
Yeah.
introducing the technology to the people rather than bombarding them with it, and then they take nothing. And as you said, every day changes. AI changes every day. Whoever brings the best solution comes on top. Then nobody's on top, because it's ever changing, ever developing, ever. But blockchain will be able to assess that and keep the change behind, and inject it to the society gradually. And that's where the blockchain is more important than AI, more important than quantum computing, because quantum computing, if it falls on the wrong hands, is a risk for
Hmm.
society.
Very true. Okay, let's take this opportunity to um, go into talking about Morocco, because one of the things that I don't know if you see it living in Morocco, sometimes when you're in a place, sometimes you can take some things for granted, maybe. But when I visited Morocco a couple of times, and I'll confess both of the times were in the same city in Fez, but I was very, very impressed how Morocco seems to have balanced really well its historic, like its culture and modernity. And I think that balance is very difficult to achieve. It puts a lot of strain on a lot of countries and cultures. But Morocco seems to have done really well in maintaining its traditional culture, but also adapting modernity and having a fusion of both of those things.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, the reason for that is very obvious. What is the other countries don't have? And you can tell me, I'm not going to answer that for you.
Uh, I think I know where you're going, and I completely agree. Is um, the king,
There we go.
the role is the continuity that you have. Is this whole system where people are governing for 2 years, 3 years,
Yes.
short-sightedness?
Yes.
I completely agree.
Yes. Because our king, may Allah bless him, has when
I mean,
he adopts something, he makes sure that he consult with his people, and he makes sure that his people are protected from it.
yeah, I was so impressed. There's so many things I was really impressed about in society. Apart from other things, the security. As a tourist, I felt completely safe in Fez, walking around anywhere. Also, the cleanliness, how things just worked really well. Tell me a little bit more about Morocco. To begin with, like, so what's the um, majority of the people are Muslims? Do you know, like, what percentage are Muslims?
Well, it's 99%, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And within that, most of them are Sunni Muslims.
Maliki Muslims, yeah. Sunni Maliki Muslims.
Maliki, yes.
Because the king adopts the Madhab al-Maliki, and the Madhab Maliki is based on rational thinking.
And so the founder of Morocco was it Moulay Idris?
Moulay Idris al-Awwal, yes, who is a Sharif who was brought from Mecca many years ago, because the different villages wanted unity, and then they decided, okay, for us to have a unity, we need somebody to teach us and show us the way, who is not part of us. Therefore they decided, okay, we're gonna go and check the sheriffs in the Medina and bring one, and then that's the person that would lead us.
Wow. And so the first capital of Morocco was Fez, is that right?
Well, it was actually first was Marrakesh, and then Fez, and then Marrakesh, and then Rabat.
Oh, okay, I did not know that. So what I was going to ask is, how come Moulay Idris Awwal is buried in sorry, what's the name of the city where
Zahon.
his maqam is? Yes. So why is that? Was that the capital at the time?
No, that was where he was staying.
Oh, okay. And have you personally had a chance? Have you performed Hajj or Umrah? Have you had a chance to visit Medina Munawwara in Saudi Arabia?
Not yet. I haven't gotten the invitation yet, but I have a
Inshallah.
yearning for it, inshallah.
Inshallah. What really struck me was how similar Faz is to Medina, not just in the layout, but also in the habits of people, even down to how there's cats everywhere. So when you go to Medina, you'll find like cats in every street roaming around, and it was the same in Faz.
Well, there is a respect for cats because it's an honorable cat, the honorable animal. It's a clean animal,
Yeah.
even though it looks like it is a street, but it has a fitra to clean itself,
Yeah.
and it's not a messy animal. And also, I mean, Abu Huraira is the example because the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I mean, he called one of his Sahaba, by the name of his animal, which is Abu Huraira. And
Yeah.
one of the people that's narrated the most hadith from Sayyidatuna Aisha to Abu Huraira to therefore there is definitely a love for the cats where the people of honor are. They love cats because they know they closeness to the most close animal to us is the cat.
Very true. Tell us a little bit about Tasawwuf and Sufism in Morocco. So within Tasawwuf, you normally have different chains or silsila. Do you call it silsila?
Silsila, yes, they are silsilas, but
So
the greatest silsila
what's the
is the
dominant?
Shadili silsila.
Shazali.
Shadili. Therefore, the Shadili derives from Sidi Abdsalam bin Mshish, and it is the well-known tariqa within the Maghrib and even in the Middle East and Europe and America. Shadili. Whoever is not Shadili is not really close to the correct silsila, I would say. Therefore, Shadili was the main, and then from it derives all other tariqas.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And what are the other tariqas that you have in Morocco? I know we have Tijani. I've met some really nice brothers from the Tijani silsila in Fez.
Yeah.
I think you also have Qadri, no?
We have the Qadiri tariqa. We have the what they call it. The Tijani. We have the Darqawi tariqa,
yes.
and then the Buchishia tariqa.
And the founder of the Shazaliya is Abu Hassan al-Shazali?
Yes, correct. And who was the only student of Muna Abdsalam bin Mshish. Is the only student had.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And so is it correct that you are from the descendants of Abdul Salam al-Mashish?
Yes, I am. And my great-grandfather is called Bnifo, who is buried in Dukala, one of the regions of Morocco. And most of the awliya were buried there at that time. Therefore, he's called Bnifo. He was known to facilitate conflicts and bring people together, and that was his job, and look after the poor. Therefore, facilitating conflict where he bring people into peace and also feeding the people. Those are two elements that's the people of Tasawwuf work on.
That's amazing. When did he pass away?
Many years ago. It's we're talking about the 600,
Okay.
1600, the 1600.
Wow. I had the honor to visit the Maqam of Sidi Abdul Salam Ashish. It was an amazing day. I'll probably never forget it. And yeah, inshallah, I intend to visit again soon.
Yeah, well, there is, as I told you, we are in the process of creating packages, and we have done last week a package for 7 saints in Marrakesh, the 7 awliya that has made Marrakesh what Marrakesh is known by. You know, one of them is Qadi Iyad, the other one is Jazuli, and also the Taba, who was a physician, and Mulay Yusuf bin Ali, and all of those people that made an impact within the society, and they're still known, uh, until today with what they have established, and whatever they have established is still going. I mean, they're still feeding the poor in their names. They're still looking, for the books. And I mean, the Shazuli with his Dala'il Khairat, and Qadi Iyad with his Shifa, the book of Shifa, they are books that should be
Yeah,
studied and reflected on.
very true. There's a lot of blessing in those books. What we've heard from our teachers.
Yeah. Therefore, we are establishing a company to take people on those spiritual tours and expose them to the biography of those great people, that we learn from them and follow their steps, inshallah.
Inshallah, amazing. So when is that going to be in place, do you think, your company?
Well, we are in the process of setting it up. Therefore, a week or two, we should up and going, and should be releasing our first tour through this company in a few weeks, inshallah.
Inshallah. That's amazing. You have to share details with me. I will circulate it amongst my contacts, and also we will upload it onto our social media.
Inshallah.
Whatever we can do to support you. That sounds so good. So you also told me that I think next week you're going to Fez with a tour. How long is that for?
That's going to be just 3 days. Was invited to attend those 3 days. One day is in Tamsmim, which is close to Azro, and then 2 days in Fez, inshallah.
Inshallah. And is that you going alone, or are you taking like a group with you?
Well, I'm going to, a group is coming, but I'm going to be joining them, inshallah. It's a friend of mine who is organizing it, and he would like me to be with him, and do dhikr and speak about the journey, and just the suhbah. Basically, this journeys is mainly the suhbah, the company, that makes it possible and makes it beneficial when you have the right people around you. Therefore, I hope to learn from them, and I hope to share whatever I have with them, inshallah.
You're really giving me the itch to travel now. I can't wait to visit Morocco again. And when I do, I'm going to make sure it's the time when you're around, and we can benefit from your company.
You're welcome, brother. You're welcome.
Jazakallah. Thank you so much for your time today. And I really look forward to catching up again. There's so much that we haven't talked about or not gone into enough detail. So, inshallah, we're going to request to you that don't forget us, and we will get together again soon.
Inshallah. And thank you for inviting me to the podcast. And may Allah open the door and make it easy for humanity to see the benefit. It's in the Jama'ah, is in peace. And may Allah open the door for us to be in the service of the poor people, because that's basically our main functionality.
Ameen. Ameen. Amazing. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.